Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Tranquil Woods. We're going to be talking about a interesting topic on life today, and today I've been doing a lot of reflecting. If you watch any of the videos today, you'll know that they're all around a very specific topic or a very specific theme. Now, today's one is about life more broadly, or this one is about life, and it's about acknowledging one fact of life. Life is a game where you don't decide the rules. And that's the thing that upsets a lot of people, because here's the thing, you don't decide the rules. That means that you don't decide where you come from, where you start off, and you don't decide how hard you have to work to get to where you want to be. If you start from a rich family, the level of progress that you need to make is less than if you start from a middle class family. If you start from a middle class family, it's less than what you need to make if you come from a poor family, and so on. As a young person, that's something that always kind of never sat right with me. I always felt like I had to work a lot harder than a lot of my friends did because they had rich parents who could put them straight onto this or get them that. And I always thought, why is life so unfair? But here's the beauty of life being unfair. The advantages and disadvantages that you start off with are really your motivation for everything in your future. I know people from quite rich, quite wealthy families compared to the majority of the world. They had an upbringing where they got to go on nice holidays and have, disposable income, even though they didn't have a job or a business or an income of their own. They got given money. And a lot of these people coming up in life at age 20 to 25, let's say, are struggling with the reality of the world, because they came from a background where they did not understand the work that their parents did to give them the lifestyle that they have. So when it comes to a point where they have to go and get a job, and the job pays £10-15 an hour at best, and that's really ambitious, more like £10 an hour or 11 or 12, depends on your age, right? But basically, when they have to get a minimum wage job, they're astonished by what has to go into it. And they realise that life is not all it's meant to be. Now, me, being from the background that I was from, I always saw people working minimum wage jobs, right? That was the lifestyle that my family lived. So I always knew that it didn't work, and what that left me with, or has left me with, is a desire to do something different, right? On top of working a job, which doesn't really bring me in that much income, I run businesses that make a lot of money, or a decent amount of money, thousands of pounds a month, right? So my income a month can be anywhere between, let's say, 2,000 and 4, 5, 6,000. But that's because I started from a worse point in the game. If I started off with all of the tricks and benefits that a lot of my friends did, let's say, I wouldn't have that motivation, I wouldn't have that drive. I know a lot of people who come from even richer backgrounds, or I've met a lot of people who come from even richer backgrounds, and this applies to both men and women, but we'll talk mainly about the men, because I am a young man myself. People say, why do you gear your content towards young men? Because I've always grown up watching a lot of media, whatever, and the people speaking about a certain market are people who can't relate to it. And what I mean by that is, yes, I know a lot of young women, for example, but I can't necessarily relate 100% to their experience. I know a lot of middle-aged men, I can't relate to their experience, because that's not the lifestyle that I've lived or where I am in life. For me to give advice on people who are not on the same journey as me, I don't think would be fair. Or at least for me to share opinions on their situation, because they live a different life. Everyone does, if they're not in the same place. Anyway, getting back to the main topic of today's episode. I know people from even richer backgrounds, and when we talk to specifically the young men in these categories, they don't have anything to offer, realistically. They may have a lot of money, whether that's generational or they've been put onto something to allow them to make a lot of money. They're generally the most... You'd look at these sort of people and say, yeah, you've got money, but you're lucky that you do, because you haven't got anything else. When you're coming up from the absolute bottom, you have to get everything that you can in your power. And by the way, you get a skill set that a lot of these people born into wealth just can't have. You gain mental fortitude, you gain insight, you actually understand how it feels to be broke and what it looks like and the misery that comes with it. So you're careful with your money and your investments. That's just one example, but you get the point. Now, bringing this back onto the topic, this is actually a beautiful fact of life. Because very few people from already privileged backgrounds feel the need or the drive or the urge or the want to push even further, even harder, even faster. Because they grew up in a nice place and a nice beginning to start off with. And for them, if they can do the same as what their dad did, well, that's good enough. For someone like me, I have to do better. It's like a necessity, an important drive. And what does that mean? It gives you a higher sense of fulfillment, a greater sense of achievement. And for a lot of these people that come up and they're genuinely important, or they genuinely place an importance on the come up, they're more respected when they make it. They make it easier, they make it quicker. And people may say, how can someone from a poor background make it quicker? A lot of these richer family kids, they don't realise until they're in their late 20s, 30s, even sometimes 40s, that mummy and daddy's money is theirs, as in for the parents. They don't realise that their inheritance is a gift, not a given right. It takes them that long to establish something of themselves, because a lot of the time they get support for mortgages, they get support in finding a job, because they know people in the circles. And by the way, I'm not hating at all. I would use all of the advantages that I had if I was in that position too. So I'm not hating. But what I am acknowledging is that this is just a fact of life. Now, when you're born from a place where you're not important, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Because now you are driven. You have seen a side of the world that a lot of these people who you will be mixing on circles with if you make it have not. You will have a strength about you, a fortitude about you, a perseverance about you that can only be given from real world experience. People will respect you for what you've done. Now, a lot of people like to focus on the fact that life is unfair, and that means that we're trapped. The thing about life being unfair is that it means that greatness is rewarded. If life was genuinely fair, and all you had to do is follow a set path to get everything you wanted, it'd be less respectable, right? Let's be honest. Let's be honest about this. If all you had to do is work 1 year, and then you've got a bright green Lamborghini and a mansion, everyone would have done it. So it would mean even less. It'd mean a lot less. The fact you have to do so much for it, it means a lot more. It gives you something else. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. Some people look at it and say life is unfair, so I'm going to give up. I'm trapped where I'm trapped. Some people say life is unfair, so it's time to beat it. It's time to go into overdrive. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of people need to do to get ahead. Again, if you're trying to get ahead and you're not from these privileged backgrounds, then you probably do need to put in more work. Is that unfair? Yes. Does it reward you more? Yes, because you respect everything that you've done, and so does everyone around you. People like to say that the unfairness is a problem. But you know what? That's what makes anything, if not everything, worth it. Because if it was all fair, we'd all have it. If we all had it, it wouldn't be rare. If it wasn't rare, it wouldn't be respected. And I think that is not an opinion. I think that's basically a fact. The reason why Lamborghinis are stared at in the street is because they're rare. Because they're special. The reason why billionaires are seen as something large is because they've done an unfathomable task. Prime examples of what happens, but people think that they can't obtain these things. People don't want to try. They want to just complain, and that's not going to get you anywhere. Just like I had the choice, and have a choice actively every day, because I'm not where I want to be, right? I'm not where I want to be. I need a nicer car, I need a nicer place to live, I want to move, etc. I need to wake up every day and make the active choice. Life is hard, so I'm going to sit there and complain, or life is hard, so I'm going to sit there and make a move, make a difference. Put in the extra level of work, put in the extra effort that the other people don't have to, but I choose to. And then again, when life is on a point where you have made it, the unfairness of life begins to work as an advantage to you. Because then you're in the circles. Then you've got the money to invest so that you can take a chance on this new thing, or this or that. That's what happens when life is unfair and you're on the side of it that benefits. But so many people are not focused on getting on that side. Again, I don't make the rules of the game, neither do you. You can at least try and win the game that we're in, I think. But nobody's trying to do that because nobody's acknowledged this secret, or this fact, this reality.